Hello everyone, this is Safe on Block Hamster here with another fighting game video. Today we'll cover Street Fighter 5. I warn you though, I do this whole yin and yang thing, the light and dark, meaning that if BBTag was the good video, talking, positively about BBTag and all the good stuff in that game, this is going to be the negative video. I'm going to bring out the bad about Street Fighter 5, maybe a little bit about how, some fighting games are just not meant to be played by a certain group of people, and right now I typically mean newer players, which is the group of people that this video is supposed to be for. So anyway, let's get right into it. So, Street Fighter V has been a shit show since release. They had to patch in a story mode and do countless balance changes and mechanical tweaks. And as of right now, a lot of the top players publicly admit constantly that they don't like the game. It doesn't feel good to play. They're not having fun with it. And they basically just play it because they get paid by sponsors. Which is fair enough, by the way, because they gotta make a living somehow. I don't blame them for that. This is the real world and you need money to live. I'm not gonna say that they're bad people or anything for doing that. It's basically, literally their job to do that. So, hey, more power to them. Doesn't change the fact that they've been very vocal about the game. So, but it's a bad sign when your game is hated by a lot, and I mean a lot of people, including your top players. A lot of people, and very openly too, even more so than any of the other Street Fighter games, any other previous entry. I do know that Street Fighter 4 had a lot of negativity directed towards it when it first released by the old school players. But eventually it did prove itself and it survived, and it really just solidified itself as a very solid entry in the Street Fighter games and a very solid entry for the competitive scene in general. But what about Street Fighter 5 is so bad? Why the hate? Well, it's time for my favorite part, or our favorite part of the video. My opinions! Yay! So really, to me, the game, to summarize all the bad things in it, really, because if I want to make a list and a video just listing things that are wrong with the game from my point of view and from what other people have said, other much more qualified people than me, I might add. If I did that, we'd have like a 1 hour, 2 hour long video. So let's not do that. This footage, by the way, was of me playing against Cody, who was the newest character as of this video. I have no idea what I'm doing against Cody. I don't know how to fight him. But in reality, I have no idea what I'm doing in this game in general. But I have a solid grasp on how to play it and how characters typically play. So, anyway, so this game basically, again, to summarize everything, it is basically an incomplete anime fighter. So you know that BBTag is an anime fighter. So you get this weird feeling with Street Fighter because it feels at times like an anime fighter because you got these characters that are doing 100% rushdown game. They're not even spacing, they're not playing footsies, they're not really thinking, they're just going, Unga Bunga! Press the button, hit the opponent. That's all they're doing. And you can't punish them for it. But it's only some characters that can rush down effectively. And the game rewards pure rushdown and 50-50s. Now, in Street Fighter 4, the 50-50s were there. 50-50 meaning that you have to guess between one thing or the other, obviously. The 50-50s were there in Street Fighter 4, but not the pure rushdown. It was a slower game, and you were rewarded for spacing out your attacks properly and landing your combos in a very tight window of opportunity because the combos used to be much more difficult to land. Now, I'm not against combos being easier to do, but that's a whole other topic. Now, over time, they wanted to change that from Street Fighter 4, and that's another story also. But at the end of its lifespan, Street Fighter 4 felt like a pre-alpha of what Street Fighter 5 became. They tried all these weird changes and mechanics. They even had an Omega mode where you had all this crazy shit with all the characters. So it was like a test phase for what they wanted to do with Street Fighter 5. So I made this video as a direct opposite to the BBTag video. And by that I mean that unlike BBTag, again, I would not recommend this game for new players, believe it or not. Or even if you want to start playing fighting games from scratch, maybe you haven't played a fighter ever, you want to start with something, well, in my opinion, and to save you some time, money, rage, don't start with Street Fighter 5. Don't, really. Unless unless you're a Street Fighter fan, or unless this game really speaks to you and it really catches your attention. I mean that, if that's what you really feel about the game, then by all means go for it. But I would highly advise you to not do that. So my biggest complaint about the game is what I like to call the Capcom anti-fun police list, or the anti-fun list in general. It's a mouthful, but let me explain. What that means is that some characters get to have certain tools for no reason, and others don't get to have any tools, again, for no apparent reason. An example, I main Ryu in Street Fighter 5. Ryu is garbage, but I understand that. However, he is garbage for no real reason. Ever since the game came out, he was never an overwhelmingly amazing character. So he used to be a good character, but he was never overwhelmingly amazing, with no possible counters to his arsenal of tools. So they nerfed him to the ground, and ever since they have tried to tweak him a little, but ultimately it's of no real consequence to the character. So this means that your favorite character is at the mercy of whoever is in charge of balance changes, and this is also one of the big complaints from the professional players that live this game. Their job is to play this game. Your character is at the mercy of balance changes, and trust me, balance changes come often for this game, in my opinion. And some would say that not often enough. But even that statement is proof and clear sign that this game needs more work put into it. So that's the proof right there. So you get your favorite character, and it turns out that they have shitty rushdown, which means they're trash already. And we're not talking about skill or skill gaps. Often when criticizing fighting games, people will get offended and just bring skill levels into an argument, saying, well, a good player will win with any character. That's fine. That's a fine thing to say, sure. But it's a shame that right now, at this moment, we're not talking about skill gaps or skill levels. Don't fall for the apples and oranges trap, where people just try to change the subject. We're not talking about skill levels, okay? We're talking about basic fundamentals, basic game design. So mechanically, some characters benefit from just mashing their crush counter move, being your heavy move, which you saw me get hit by there, which is often safe on block. Not always. It's often safe on block, and that's their whole game plan. I mean, that's not literally all of their game plan, obviously, but it certainly is a viable way of doing things, just spacing out your crush counter, which is fast, has priority over medium or light moves, and depending on your character, if you're using one of the chosen ones, one of the golden characters that Capcom will randomly choose in a balance patch, you're going to get a dash forward, and you're going to be able to combo the person that you hit. So, hey, it's just an incomplete anime fighter because it wants to be a faster-paced, rushdown-focused game. But the thing is, only certain characters can do it. And Capcom seems unable to actually complete this goal and make things even across the board. It would be extremely infuriating if it wasn't so sad. It's a sad thing to see, because Street Fighter is a legendary video game series. Street Fighter did not invent the fighting game genre, but it definitely popularized it. And it certainly was responsible for creating a competitive scene, so it has a lot of historical value to the fighting game scene. That's why Street Fighter, no matter which one, is always the last game that you're going to see at EVO. The grand finals at any given time at any EVO is going to be Street Fighter. That is tradition. And it's so sad to me to see this game fall so low because of a few mistakes that the company refuses to fix. They absolutely refuse to fix. They say that they're listening to their top players. Their top players are being even more vocal than me. So if you think that I have harsh opinions on this game, you should listen to the people that live this game, the people whose job is to play this game competitively and to travel around to tournaments. They have much harsher things to say about this game than me. People that are veterans, Street Fighter veterans. I'm not even a veteran. I started playing Street Fighter and getting interested in it since Street Fighter 4. People out there have been playing since the first Street Fighter ever. And those people cannot bring themselves to seriously look at you in the eye and say, yeah, this game is good. I'll say though, it is fun to play. Of course it is. I think all fighting games are fun to just sit down and play. But as soon as you go deeper, as soon as you start trying to learn more, you start to realize that the game itself, and I'm talking about Street Fighter V specifically, the game itself works against you and what you want to do. You have to play characters the way that the company wants you to, because every character feels very autopilot. They have specific block strings, specific combos, and some characters don't even have a way to play. Like Ryu, for example, you can't zone with him, his fireball sucks. You cannot play a patient footsie game because this game has a bunch of rushdown characters that will shut that shit down. They do not care that you're being patient. So you can't rush down, you can't zone, and you can't play patient. So the only option is to not play Ryu. That's just my example. That's me. I refuse to change characters. And you may be thinking, well, why not just play something else? And look at this. This is my friend. I told him to do this just to fuck around. And he did. And it works. He's mashing a bunch of M. Bison safe attacks. And because he's plus on block, he can do this block string. Now, it's not a guaranteed thing. It's not like a weird stun lock or anything. People can get out of it. It's just incredibly difficult if you're a new player to deal with that bullshit. That used to not be the case in the other games. It's mostly not the case in a lot of fighting games. Even in BBTag, you eventually learn defensive options. This game does not have good defensive options. Look at that. My friend, by the way, he doesn't care or play Street Fighter V. And he can still beat people. He can beat people doing that dumb shit. Oh my god, this game. I'm waiting for Sagat. If Sagat is garbage, I'm gonna uninstall this game. Anyway, don't play this game if you're a new player. I don't recommend it. It is fun to just sit down and play for a bit, but if you want to learn something, put that time into something else that will reward you for actually learning and playing well. Not just random balance patches that will destroy you and destroy the character that you like. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed in one way or another. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the Rage Quit.